Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm going to show you how I've made this card using partial die cutting and acetate, so you get this lovely floating effect. I've also got pattern paper that is part of the collection, and all the products that I'm using today are from Funky Fossil Designs. So you've got plenty of space in the card to write your message, perhaps on the inside, or you could use the back as well. So let me show you how I've made it. So I was using this stamp set called Spring Showers. It's designed by Charlotte Blackwood for Funky Fossil Designs. It's got some really lovely sentiments and beautiful images, perfect for spring. And it's the first time that Funky Fossil Designs have used coordinating dies. Now, I'm not always very good at lining them up, but I found these were really easy to use. They were nice large images which made it easy to really line the dies up and run them through the die cutting machine. As part of the collection, there was also 2 paper pads. There's 3 sheets of each pattern, and there's a 6x6 and an 8x8. So I'm just going to do a little flick through, but as you can see, there are some pages missing or half used, but it will just give you an idea of the overall patterns that are in the paper pad. I've really enjoyed working with this paper pad. The patterns are really beautiful, and the papers are they really coordinate well. So it was really nice to use these along with the collection. So I'm using a white A6 card blank to make this card today. And first of all, I'm going to take the die and I'm going to line it up on the front of the card and work out exactly where I want it. You want it as close to the bottom of the card as possible. And I'm just going to make sure that I'm happy with that, and then I'm just going to tack it in place with some washi tape. This is just to make sure that the die stays in place when I run it through the die cutting machine. And so once I'm happy that that's in place and lined up at the bottom, I'm going to bring in my die cutting machine. I'm using the Sizzix Big Shot. And basically, the die cutting machine will only cut where the plate is lined up to. So this is how we can do partial die cutting. So I'm just going to line up my top plate with exactly where I want it to be cut to. Now, on the Big Shot plates, there's like a slightly tapered off edge, so it won't cut where that is either, so you can be mindful of that when you're running that through. And I'm just going to run that through and then back again. The reason I'm not running the whole card through is it's just quicker to take it out once you've done that partial die cut, and also I don't want to get any marks on my white cardstock. So once I've took that out of the machine, as you can see there, it's just partially cut through. So it's just the top of the welly boots basically. And I can just remove that low tack tape or washi tape, and then there we can see we've got the partial die cut. So the next thing to do is bring in my cutting mat and my craft knife, and I'm going to use a metal ruler so that I can get a nice straight clean line along the top of those wellies. So I'm just using my metal ruler, the grid line on my mat, to just line it up and then cut from the edge of the card to the first die cut line, and then the other edge to the other die cut line, and then we can just remove that excess cardstock, and then we're left with that partial die cut. So next you want to get a piece of acetate. Now the size of this is really going to depend on the size card that you're making and the gap that you've got, but you need it to line up on the front panel and match the back of the card. So basically this is going to replace the card that we've removed. And then you can use red line tape, or you could use liquid glue. So I haven't got any red line tape, so I'm going to use some multi-medium in the matte finish. I know this is a really good strong glue, so it will hold the acetate in place once it's dry. And obviously because the acetate's plastic, you do want to make sure that the glue that you use will hold it in place if you don't have any red line or double-sided tape. So I'm just going to line that up on the edge of the card and then make sure that that's in place and level. I want it to be flush with the bottom of the card, and so I'm just going to give that a few moments to dry. So to discreetly cover that glue line, I'm going to use a strip of gold cardstock. Of course, you can use whatever colours that you've got, or whatever theme or colour choice that you're using on your card. But again, I'm just going to use some multi-medium matte on the back of this. Metallic cardstock is a bit of a nightmare with liquid glue, so you could always use double-sided adhesive sheets on the back of it, and then all you've got to do is peel off the back layer and attach it. So once that's dry and it's all stuck down, the next thing we're going to do is take the image of the wellies. So I've already stamped it and coloured it, I've stamped it in Memento black ink, and I've coloured it with alcohol markers. I used the Winsor & Newton Pro markers. And all I'm going to do is add some glue on the back, and then we're just going to stick it onto the front of the card panel and make sure that that lines up with the partial die cutting that we've already done. So next I'm going to add a sentiment on the front of the card, and I'm using the sentiment from the stamp set that says sending flowers and smiles. I have actually cut this sentiment in half. I'd done that for another project, but it comes in handy because it means that I can use this on the front, whereas if it was still one long sentiment, I don't think it would have fitted. And once you cut a stamp in half, they're really easy to put back together again, so you don't lose anything. If anything, you just gain the ability to use two stamps. So I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I'm just inking that up on an All and Create. It's a small All and Create stamp block that I've got. And you'll notice that I've got a small black smudge on the back of the card. So instead of panicking, the best thing to do is just to try and get a rubber on it. This is just a normal rubber. It's a Staedtler rubber, and I'm just going to use that, and it does erase most of that black marks. You can't really see it. So instead of throwing a project away or panicking or trying to work out a way to cover it, sometimes it's worth just trying using a rubber on it, and I often find that does get rid of the VersaFine Onyx Black ink before it's dried. So next we're going to decorate the inside of the card, and I've got a piece of patterned cardstock that's 3 7/8 by 5 5/8. And then I've got a small piece of paler pink cardstock that's 2 inches by 5 3/8. And that's the panel that I'm going to attach inside that can be used to write a message on. And I'm just going to glue that down. I'm just going to use some Collall Glue so that it's really sturdy. And I've got that in a small fine tip bottle that is available to buy from Craft Stash, I believe. I'll link as many products as I can in the description box below. And I just round off the corners there just for a little bit more added interest. And again, I'm just going to add some Collall Glue on the back of that and attach that down so that we've got somewhere to write our message on the inside. Then just to finish off the card, I've just got some of these water droplets. These are from Alina Crafts. And I've just got some tweezers, and I'm going to go back to using the Ranger Multimedia Matte glue. And I'm just going to add a few little dots of glue and attach some of these water droplets down just to finish off the card. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here, and I really hope that this tutorial has given you some ideas and some inspiration. As you can see, there's plenty of space inside to write your message, but you could also add a matte layer to the back of the card as well, and then it stands up really nicely, as you can see there. So thank you so much for joining me, and please leave some comments in the box below. Let me know if you've enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see some more videos from me. I'll link as many products as I can in the description box below, and yeah, thank you so much. Take care.